Chapter 2. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. My dad was a teacher for longer than my mom. They were grade school teachers. They didn't make a whole lot. We were decidedly lower middle relative to the people around me. I went to a state school. I wasn't really sure. I liked filmmaking from what I had experienced of it from AV Club, but I didn't have a good base of like, here's what films are, and here's what they're about, and here's the good ones, and here's the shit ones, and here's the ones that you talk about when you go have an interview at SUNY Purchase. I didn't pass. I had some sort of test about how good I was at noticing something about Truffaut or something. I don't know. I was not good at it. So I went to a different school. I went to SUNY Plattsburgh. It's got one distinguished alumnus that I know of. And then the funniest thing happened. 9/11 happened. My first 3 weeks of college, which was distressing. It's distressing. I remember looking up at the 4-story dorms of SUNY Plattsburgh, imagining planes smashing into them for whatever that would have accomplished. And I don't know. I had a decent time. I was in an a cappella group. I liked that. It wasn't like a really good a cappella group, but it was an a cappella group. It was fun. Mostly I spent my first year at college, television, maybe a little bit of writing, a couple of humanities classes. I was mostly focused on the requirements to spend a semester abroad. That's really what I was after. So the next year I went to Australia for a semester. That was really great for a lot of different reasons. And it wasn't great for one reason, where I came home and I had to go back to living at home because I had spent, it cost too much to go abroad, so it was sensible for me to go back home. I can't remember at what, my parents would have separations, like starting when I was in 3rd grade or something. I thought it was so special. I just thought my parents were getting divorced, but they never did. But they would have separations, or my dad would go get an apartment somewhere for a while, and then they'd eventually get back together. So I don't remember. They were together at some point while I was living at home going to college, but I don't really remember. And college was a fucking... I got to college and the worst thing I could hear from guidance, the faculty advisors, I was like, hey, you can't do you can't take those classes because they're not your major, or you don't have the prerequisite. And they were trying to keep the learning from me. That was the one thing that I love learning. I always did love learning. It probably is in a unhealthy way. Like, it was an escape. If I learned things, it was an escape from the reality. But I loved learning, and when I got to college, I was like, this is going to be the best, most learning anyone can get. And then they were like, you can't take those classes, or you got to work towards your major. What's your major going to be? And I was like, TV, film, something? They were like, okay, well, we've got a broadcast television program that's definitely not a film program, but, you can do broadcast television and shit and radio. So college, I stopped bothering with faculty advisors and just took the classes I wanted to take. I wound up taking anthropology, psychology, astronomy, a lot of writing, screenwriting, playwriting, television production, radio production. I liked learning. I liked stretching out and seeing what was available. Acting. A lot of acting classes too. I forgot about them. I always forget the acting classes, but I took a shitload of them. And eventually, in 2004, I was third year of college. I finally did a play at the college. And it was cool. It was the most professional production I was in. I got to fire a real gun with blanks in it and shit, and I got some really serious training from people who took it really seriously. At one point, the firing pin flicked out in the middle of the scene, and it wouldn't fire the way I needed it to. And I met a girl there. Met a girl in that whole acting thing. Sex-wise, my development was a bit stunted by Christianity. That was my big battle through my teens, was all the evil feelings and how to reconcile those with trying to be a good person, as God wanted me to be. And those fucking youth group preachers knew what they were doing. They'd send the fucking hottest girls they had available out to recruit. Danielle, you were super fucking hot. That's why I went to the youth group, because you were so attractive and you're talking to me and you're super nice to me. And I struggled with that, fighting against, you got puberty on one hand and you got a really old shitty book and idiots obsessed with it on the other hand. I talked to God plenty. I talked to God plenty. But it really impacted how my mom was a factor in that. My father was unfaithful at times, and so my own development, I think she ultimately, without ever realizing it, I still don't think she ever realized it. I think she saw any signs of me developing into a functional adult as a betrayal of some kind, an extension of the betrayal of my father. So she, even when I was in college, she was still, yeah. I was a virgin until I was 21 years old. Yeah. Choice. By choice. Mostly by choice. A lot by just ignorance and incompetence. But there was just, I didn't have yeah, I mean everything was kind of coming to a head while I was trying to hit that next stage, and it just wasn't. It was pretty confusing. I thought actually inserting my dick into a vagina would just open the gates of hell or something. I don't know. Or I was just too scared of it at that point. I would have taken any excuse. You know what I mean? Anyway, finally at 21, I lost my virginity to a nice lady who had just moved to fucking Florida. and decided to start a relationship thing with me right before she left. It wasn't destined to work out, but we had a nice week where I went down to visit, and we went to Disney World. Did we manage to go to Disney World? I gotta assume that we did, yeah. No, we didn't. And I got to have sex. And it was alright. It was pretty good. I liked the sex part a lot. I was listening to Modest Mouse a lot. One of those albums, Moon in Antarctica, I think. Yeah, it always makes me think I'm fucking. It's a weird album, too. It's a weird album to be fucking with. So anyway, that's where I was. And then this girl I met with the play stuff, she decided she liked me, and we went out. Everybody went out to a bar one night, and we got to talking, and I had to tell her that I was in this whatever with this girl, and that I was not a player. I had actually just I don't know if I shared that. I assumed that I probably would. That's kind of how I am. And people already at that point, they were like, oh, you must be a player. That was one of the problems I was having losing my virginity was like I'd have to try to lose my virginity to these girls who were like waiting for me to reveal that I'm actually a player that fucks everybody. That's a weird kind of fucking pressure to put on someone who's a virgin. You know what I mean? You better not fuck me over if I have sex with you. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I will or not. Is there a good reason? Is there a good reason other guys have fucked you over, as you say? Anyway, this girl liked me, and I was still attached to the Florida girl. So I walked her home, and she seemed shocked that I didn't try to kiss her or fuck her or anything. And I walked home to my house, and pretty much immediately broke up with that girl in Florida. Not in a kind way, I'm sure. I'm not out of my way, but like just kind of that like it's obvious that this isn't going to work out. I need to go have a real relationship. And I did. We had a good time, though, me and that other girl. We fit together all right, and we were, yeah, I don't know. It worked for a while. Fuck, I've got a lot to get through. It worked for a while. End of chapter 2.